You say, in support of that, when a foreigner, especially from the West, wants to come in and bring their money, they know the policies which they're used to. They study our system that we have in here, and they know, okay, we can make the majority of those mechanisms that they need to follow. It's about the financial part of it, and the standardization, best practice, which they're already used to. So by the time they tender their, what's it called? Their business plan and everything, they already met them. The local investors in here who doesn't have the know-how of how to go through all this, because the government support to take them through that process, it's not there. In the, I keep using the UK, I mean, in the UK we have what we call business angels, business guardians. These are somehow like an NGO that partner with the government, that work directly with every micro businesses to tell you how to write the business plan, how to assess the market, how to get your information, insurance, and so on and so forth. And how, if you need the ISO standard, how to get them. They take you through all this, okay? In most cases, you don't pay for them, okay? The government subsidize or pay for those things, right? That is government direct support to local investors. But when that is not there, then of course, it's a good thing to encourage international foreign investors to come in. Eventually, if care is not taken and the government is not looking critically into this issue, foreign investment or investors will eventually erode the entire economy.
Okay, so
look, we're going to be left out.
Let me ask you this question. You know that very recently the leaders of 15 Nation Economic Community of West African states actually agreed to implement a single customs external tariff to accelerate economic integration and harmonize customs, within these 15 countries. So with what you've just said now, is this going to be a plus or a minus when it eventually kicks in, especially for domestic investors?
Can I say this quickly? How many products or services do we have in this country that we're going to have to export out to these member states that will benefit us? That's one thing. We can only boast of oil and gas, and now we could move into agriculture.
Manufacturing as well, automobile as well. Well, the sectors keep growing, gradually.
Finance. Trade. I think we have quite, Nigeria is quite dominant when it comes to the West African region.
Yeah.
And if there is any uniform customs policy, it's definitely going to benefit Nigerian companies. Because I know that, for instance, in Ghana, if a Nigerian business is going to register in Ghana, they ask for a huge amount of money, and that has forced so many of our businesses out of Ghana and so many other West African countries. So when we have a uniform regulation in West Africa especially, I'm very certain that it's going to benefit Nigerian businesses. No, I think our businesses are actually internationalizing very fast, especially the banks, for instance. And also Nigerians are involved in cross-border trade in the whole of West Africa. In fact, the quantum of whatever you call it, trade going on in Africa, in the sub-region of West Africa, originates in Nigeria.
So how is it going to affect trade with, if we eventually start off that CET? How is that going to affect the foreign direct investment that we're really looking forward to getting, not just in Nigeria now, in the other ECOWAS states?
Well, one thing I can say is that it will reduce something like smuggling. Okay, when you remove all the barriers to trade, so people will have less incentive to struggle, and that I don't know the impact of smuggling in the local economy, but with trade liberalization across the borders of West Africa, that will improve trade relations, of course. So people can move freely, especially the trading goods. I don't know about movement of labor for now.
Okay, so now that we're actually coasting home, let's find a way forward, because we've actually put down a lot of issues that we need to address to ensure that this figure that we're looking at, $20 billion, increases from that number, which is what we recorded in the last 3 years. We want to see it grow in leaps. So in your opinion, how can Nigeria be properly positioned to take advantage of the opportunities therein, or opportunities
let me take on that
we don't have at all?
These are critical issues of political economy, because we are talking about capitalism now, global capitalism. Okay, how does Nigeria accumulate capital? Okay. The fact of the matter is that it is not a matter for the private sector alone. There is the necessity for government support. In fact, government takes the lead. There is something I call the government industrial complex, which has occurred and spurred economic growth in so many countries around the world. The Asian tigers, for instance. So it wasn't a large-scale privatization as such. Government gave those companies a whole lot of incentive, supported them by all manner of policies to make them remain competitive. I think our own government needs to come up with such policies.
Yeah, because they have to remember that these investors are not going to be around for a very long time.
Not just that, but they need to regulate investment in certain sectors. I think the scheme of incentives or policies could create incentive to get the foreign investors to invest in strategic sectors of the economy.
Yeah.
Okay, rather than just oil and gas,
yeah.
Because that is a big problem. Okay, apart from that, government needs to do something on its own. We've been talking about this issue of educational sector. One of the major determinants of foreign direct investment, again, is the level of skill. Okay, the asset, that is key, human capital. That is what attracts investors. Right now, China is over bloating and they are now offshoring some of their production. So they want to go to where they have cheap but skilled labor. Okay, if you don't have skilled labor, you cannot attract investment. It's not just about geography, and size, gravity. So yes, we are big. We can attract some investment, especially the ones that rely on numbers. But when it comes on quality, the ones that value added, that require or depend upon skill, we are still falling back on that. So I think there is still need for the government to improve the level of skill in the sector, like my colleague mentioned. Okay, the businesses need to get support in that sense. If we don't have that, we cannot expect that foreign investment to actually spill down to the level that we want it.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Adi, for sharing your thoughts with us on the program, and also Mike Adeleye, thank you so much for joining us, and it was an interesting conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I've been speaking with two gentlemen on how to attract foreign direct investment into Nigeria. Dr. Bongo Adi is a senior research fellow with the Center for Infrastructure, Policy, Regulation and Advancement with the Lagos Business School, and Mike Adeleye is a human capital development expert. Well, it seems as if this is one interesting issue, and an issue nonetheless that everybody really has to pay attention to, because it's a very important one. Now, according to what they've said, investment in strategic sectors of the economy is bound to be is what we should be looking at, encouraging most of those foreign investors to be looking at, not just the oil and gas industry or the capital market. There are other very key sectors that also should be looked into when trying to attract foreign investments into the economy. And also human capital development is very important. Well, this conversation doesn't end here. Of course, it continues. You can send your comments or questions or observations to any of the addresses showing on your screen. But that's the midweek edition of the program. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Harriet Agbenyi.